107 point. Good.
So it is Midweek Moment right here on a Breakfast with Friends, and it's definitely good just to be with you once again this morning. So last Thursday, on my way, well, as I left studio, got in my car, about to pull out, and for some crazy reason, I kind of just sat there for a little bit, like not too long, just for a couple of seconds, at least for maybe a minute. And I saw a few of our colleagues and greeted them and whatnot, which is kind of weird because normally when I get in my car, I go, I move. Anyway, so I sat there for a little bit, and I'm just kind of chilling. And then I put my car in reverse because I want to get out of the parking, obviously, to get out of here. So I'm in the parking bay at CCFM, and I see a car that's at the stop street. Him waiting for a gap for him to turn and go onto Main Road. So I'm like, okay, cool, he's there. So I'm gonna just reverse out the parking bay. There is some space, and I'll just stand a little bit. And for that moment, I kind of just thought, but what if he rolls back? I'm going to reverse out of my parking. This guy is here. And I just thought, what if he rolls back? Maybe just leave him, let him go away. And when he's gone, then I should back out of the parking. In any case, I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. But anyway, I'm gonna just sit here. I'm gonna just chill for a little bit longer, right? So anyway, here I am chilling, and well, actually, that's when I moved the car back because I had it in reverse. I moved a bit, and I had that thought, and I moved the car back in the parking. And as I moved the car back in the parking, I kid you not, Jonathan, in the review mirror, I see this guy rolling all the way into almost halfway into my parking bay where I was. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, if I didn't move back into my park and if I did what I thought I wanted to do, which is reverse out, stand a little bit in an angle, wait for him, I would have been the car that stops him from rolling.
Yeah, he would have hit into you.
Yeah, definitely. And it was at that moment, and I was like, oh gosh, this is how crazy is this, right? And then I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna switch my car off, move all the way to the front of the park, and it's to the maximum point that I could possibly get, and just wait. And I'm watching him because every time he takes off, he rolls back, and he continues to do this until until he got his clutch control, and then he kind of almost did a burnout, and then dashed out. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh my word. I mean, if for that moment, if I didn't and if I wasn't just quiet and listened, I really would have been in a serious situation. For me, I know that that moment was definitely God's direction. If I ignore that, if I ignored what I thought, it wouldn't have ended well, right? So often God speaks to us by dropping a thought which we might think it's a random thought, but at that moment it felt random, but it actually really saved me. Sometimes you get a word from a friend or a loved one or a scripture, or God just speaks to you. Sometimes some people hear his audible voice. I have never heard his audible voice, but he does direct me in many other ways. Like I said, through a scripture, through a thought, through friends, through loved ones. And it's just that moment that are we going to choose to listen? I don't know about you, but I sometimes I do miss it. I am a bit slow. I buffer a lot. I don't always catch it, but the moments when I do catch it, I'm so thankful that I did. And in First Kings 19 verse 12, Elijah goes to this place where he fights the prophets of Baal, right? So that's done. God sends down rain. Then that miracle happens, and then Jezebel says to him, "I'm going to kill you. We're going to end your life." And then he gets all crazy. He gets all scared and terrified, and he starts running for his life. And then, of course, God bakes him a bread. I mean, that's for me. Is God not real? He bakes you a bread. So, that also happens, and then eventually Elijah ends up in a cave. And a cave is not a nice place to be at. It's never good to be a place where you're alone. And then that's where I want to actually just pick up from. It says, and the Lord was passing by, and a great powerful wind was tearing out the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake came. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was a sound of a gentle wind, a whisper. And that is where God was. He was in the whisper. He was close. You had to be so close. Elijah had to be so close to hear that whisper. And I want to just remind you that the Lord was in the whisper. He's still in the whisper, in that still, quiet voice. Would you listen to him?